we slowly take our attention gets diverted from the financial world. So that's a, a part that a lot of people on spiritual path are struggling with. That their attention has gone, let's say 90%, 95% of their attention has gone in the world of the spirit, and now they have disconnected from the material world, and they're struggling to pay their bills. And personally, I mean, I've been there myself many times, and I have come across many different people in spiritual path that they're going through the same thing. Now, let's make something clear, that when I was in insurance industry and I was living in northern Arizona, and sometimes I would have to drive for anything from 1 hour to 3 hours to go to an appointment. I had an appointment with, let's say, the head of a company, and we were going to talk about their health insurance plan for their employees. So I'm in Northern California, I'm in Northern Arizona, and I would have to drive for 2 or 3 hours. And for me, that drive became my meditation. And I'm driving in beautiful Red Rock country. I was living in Sedona, Arizona, and I'm driving in the Red Rock country and this beautiful, pristine views. And I can have different attitudes. My attitude can be like going into this place and turning the poison into medicine, and having this attitude of being grateful to be given this 2 hours or 3 hour of drive, that I can actually turn the drive and this business of appointment and opportunity into a spiritual opportunity by changing my vision, by looking at it that this gives me time to be in silence. Whether, you know, a lot of times I didn't play any music, and a lot of times I wouldn't even get on the phone and talking. You know, if I had to talk to my office or communicate, I would do it, but I would do everything in the beginning or at one point, so then I had time to turn this drive into being in a meditative state. And it's interesting because I would go into a deep silent place and reconnecting with the deep I, reconnecting with the presence, and gradually go into a state of bliss. And all of a sudden, 2-3 hours would go by, and I had arrived at my destination. And I was in a complete silent place and being very blissed out. Then when I would go to my appointment, I didn't view the people I was going to discuss their insurance needs and their program, I didn't view them as separate beings and entities from myself. I viewed them as parts and expressions of the absolute, as parts of myself. And so, and I viewed the whole thing that I'm serving God, I'm serving the Spirit, and actually, I'm not here to sell something to them, I'm here to serve them. And by being able to provide a much better insurance policy for them, or a better service, I'm serving humanity. So I'm at service. Do you see this? Can you see how things here are being shifted from being in this place of identifying to an insurance salesman or a businessman who is on a quest to accumulate more money and wealth or make a sale, and going into this place of recognition that even though what I'm doing in the eyes of spiritual people, it's not a spiritual thing, but by shifting my vision, then I'm still serving. I'm serving the force. I'm serving the being. I'm serving God. And then in that shift of consciousness, the whole equation would change. Most of the time, people really liked me, and they felt a deep sincerity, which I was sincere in what I was doing. Of course, I wanted to make a sale too, and have their business. But by changing my perspective, by bringing my consciousness into a higher level and bringing it to this point that I'm actually serving fellow brothers, sisters, and human beings, then energy would shift. And the entire spiritual world, the spirit would support me because I'm operating from a higher level of consciousness versus from a point that I'm in dual world, in duality. And there is another, and I'm trying to get something from them. And now the spirit is supporting you on your path. So that's, one way. Let's say you're a bus driver. Let's say you're a nurse and working in a hospital. Let's say you're a school teacher. Let's say you're a mother. You whatever you're doing in various different sectors of the community. If you look at it from this other perspective, you are serving. You are providing a service. You're helping. You're doing something, whatever that is. Even if you're working in a oil refinery, it doesn't matter. You are doing something to provide a service. And it depends on you and how you're going to look at this, and what is your attitude in what you're doing. Whether what you're doing, you're being graceful about it, or you're going to be in this conflict in your mind of telling yourself what you're doing is not spiritual, and you hate it, or you're angry, or you have resentments, and now actually you're in hell. But if you change your perspective and find spirit, the actual spirit in everything, recognition of the space, recognition of the presence of Her Majesty, the Supreme Soul, the Grand Spirit that is everywhere and is in everything, the recognition of that. Then you find God and you find the Spirit in everything and everywhere. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, it doesn't matter what you're doing, where you are. You begin to develop the vision and you begin to see that in everything. Everything starts to become spiritual. So gradually, through this shift of your vision and your consciousness, this view that you start to change, gradually you begin to see the broader picture, and you begin to see your own role into the big picture, that how you are serving the Spirit.